deep. You're Ken Kell. You're the hockey guy. I go, I don't know anything about this guy.
This is The Conversation Line, presented by Fieger Law.
Hello, Red Wing fans. Welcome to another edition of The Conversation Line, presented by Fieger Law. I'm Ken Kell, Red Wings radio play-by-play voice, and I'm happy to be joined by the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings, Todd McLellan. Todd, welcome to the program.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's exciting. Another new experience for me in Detroit.
Have you settled in yet? I guess that's the first question. It's been a month now.
Well, from a hockey perspective, certainly settled in. Getting to know more and more people around the organization. But what's really unique about that is coming back, there's a lot of familiar faces, so it's made it more comfortable. The players really settling in with them, knowing their personalities, how they react to certain situations. Life in Detroit is slowly getting there. We're eventually going to move into a home and get out of the hotel, and I'm really looking forward to that day.
Other than hockey, what do you do with your life? I mean, what types of things that you enjoy?
Well, my wife and I, or our family, have a summer home in Western Canada in Kelowna, and we really enjoy the water, a lot of boating, summer activities, golf, wine, and I'm an avid whiskey collector, so I enjoy doing those things, getting out on the road and hunting for dusty old bottles and whatnot. So that's some of my pastimes.
Well, I hope you give me an invitation to visit you sometime.
Well, I will, but I don't know if I'll open anything for you.
Okay, sounds good. Hey, you're from Melville, Saskatchewan. Tell the fans about Melville. What goes on in Melville?
Well, Melville, Saskatchewan was my birthplace. I grew up there. I think I was in grade 1 or 2 when I left. My dad was in the RCMP, so what ended up happening back in those days is you got transferred a lot, and we moved around a fair amount. But Melville's a real unique city. It's got some ties here to the Detroit Red Wings. Sid Abel and Tim Shovelday were two Red Wings that were from Melville, and certainly throw my name in that mix. So there's a red and white stripe right through the center of town.
Now, I would imagine that all Canadians, one day you wanted to be a hockey player. Did you pursue a hockey career early on?
Yeah, we, like everybody, somehow got a pair of skates when we were young, and a stick found our hands, and we were either playing on the street or we were playing in an outdoor rink. And then when we were lucky enough to get a uniform and play on a team, that's what we did. And I pursued my dream. I was lucky enough to play junior in my hometown with the Blades. Played with guys like Joey Kocur, former Red Wing, Corey Kocur, drafted by the Red Wings, and had a chance to experience life at home during some unique years, 16, 17, 18, still be around my friends, but played junior hockey, and was drafted by the Islanders, turned pro, and unfortunately for me, or fortunately now when I look at it, I had some shoulder problems and ended up taking the coaching route rather than the playing.
Todd, you mentioned Joey Kocur. All the fans here in Detroit know Joey. Was he as rough as he was back then, or as he was with the Detroit Red Wings?
Yeah, the fans here will know that part of Joey. He was a great teammate. He took care of everybody on the ice, obviously physically, but maybe what people don't realize is what a good player he was, too. He scored 40, 45 goals in junior and could play the game any way you wanted to play it. One of the best and hardest shots that I've seen for a tough guy. But really enjoyed having him around. We had him and Wendell on the same team, so they were a pretty rugged team.
I'll say. And you were a center iceman when you played. And the center ice position, and you talk about it now with all your players, it's a very cerebral position, isn't it?
It is. It's, you have to navigate the whole ice surface. You can't just stay on one quarter or one half of it. You have to be all over the place. But I think back in those days, you were pigeonholed into one position and you just played it. Today, I view our forwards, maybe center, left wing, right wing, but I just view them as forwards. They have to be able to interact, to cover for each other, to play different situations and different types of play. Naturally, when you get to the face-off situation, the center takes over. But other than that, I view them as forwards.
I was doing some homework. As a broadcaster, you have to do your homework. And you did have one goal scored in the National Hockey League. Now, it was against Bob Sauvé, and Red Wing fans remember Bob because he was a goaltender here. What do you remember about your only goal in the National Hockey League?
Well, there's You know, when you don't play a lot, and I think of Dominic Shine right now that entered the league, you have so many memories. It's not just about the goal or, you know, you remember the call, you remember the ride to the airport and all the phone calls you're making to parents to thank them and the support group that you have around you. Then the game starts, and once the game starts, it just becomes hockey again. And I was lucky enough to score in a rebound and you know, spent 4 more games in the NHL, and that was it for my career. But, you know, proud to say that I at least had the opportunity to do those things.
Yeah, that's a goal that you'll always remember. And anytime any player gets to play at least one game in the National Hockey League, you're very lucky because there's a lot of guys that want to play and never get the opportunity.
Well, the hockey world's a big world. There's players playing all over the world that crave the opportunity to get to the NHL. And if you've just played one game, one shift, one call-up even, it's pretty special. And you've arrived. Nobody will ever take that away from you. Obviously, everybody wants a 20-year career, right. But it doesn't happen for everybody. But the fact that you get rewarded for arriving is special.
All right. Tell me a little bit about your decision to get into coaching, because at what point in your career did you say, you know, this coaching thing might be something I want to do?
Well, after playing pro, I had mentioned earlier I had some shoulder injuries and had to go back home and heal. Needed some rehab time. And at that point, the lifespan of my playing career was diminishing quickly. I ended up going to Europe for 1 more year. And while I was over there, a coach moved into my apartment, believe it or not, which was odd, a coach living with the player. But that's the type of organization it was. They didn't have a lot of money. And I started to plan practice with them. I started to think about the game a little bit differently. I started to view it from a coach's perspective rather than just my own selfish player's perspective. And I enjoyed it. And had an opportunity to go back the next year. We won the championship and answered an ad in a newspaper for a job as a junior coach, Tier 2 junior coach in North Battleford, Saskatchewan. Got the job. My playing career was over, and coaching started, and I had no idea what I was doing.
Well, you know, I was looking at your coaching record, and you were always employed. Up until the time you came to the Detroit Red Wings, that was kind of an off period from you from Los Angeles to Detroit. But when you decided to make a move from one place to another, it seemed like it happened like the next year, then the next year, then the next year.
Yeah, things were, you know, when you're around long enough, you meet a lot of people. You tend to have a reputation that follows you, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And I've been lucky enough to be around so many good people in the game, starting here in Detroit. Well, actually starting in Minnesota with their organization, but Detroit, San Jose, Edmonton, LA. And when you meet good people and they believe the job you've done is adequate, or at least something that they're interested in, people will give you a call, and I've been lucky enough to do that, and I think that's because of the relationships and the work we've put in.
Now, you won a championship with the Houston Aeros. What was that like, winning that championship?
Well, that was really big because it may be harder to win in the American League because you never have an opportunity to really build a team. Your team changes from year to year. Your core players come and go. An NHL team could call up 3 or 4 of your best players, and all of a sudden your year changes. So the fact that we were able to win a Calder Cup was really rewarding based on the team we had and the circumstances we went through. We had to play against Grand Rapids actually that year in the semifinals, Game 7 on the road, and we shut them out. And then we had to play against Hamilton in the Calder Cup finals, Game 7 on the road, and shut them out. So it was a pretty unique run for us. You know, some real good memories from that time.
Now, you came to the Detroit Red Wings. You spent 3 years here as an assistant coach, and you always say that you learned a lot in those 3 years. Tell the fans what exactly you went through and what did you learn?
Well, simply put, it was the Harvard of hockey at that time. You know, come in from an American League team, basically unknown. None of the players knew who I was or anything like that. And to be immersed right in the middle of it all, have some Hall of Fame people around you, not only players, former coaches, management, Hall of Fame players to learn from, and a really good hockey club that expected to win. You couldn't draw it up any better for me as an individual then. But I tried to take advantage of every opportunity I had, open my eyes up, open my ears, you know, shut my mouth and just listen and learn. And those were real informative years for me.
Now, I remember when you were an assistant coach, everybody was saying, hey, this Todd McLellan, he's going to be a really good head coach in the NHL one day. So you left the Red Wings, you went to the San Jose Sharks, and I believe you had back-to-back 50-win seasons. What was the experience like with San Jose in your first couple years as a head coach?
Well, it was outstanding. Very few young coaches get an opportunity to jump into a team that was that talented and was that close to winning. Usually you're going to an expansion type situation or maybe coming up through an organization and getting your first shot coming from the American League. San Jose was a real good opportunity for me. I had unreal support from the management and ownership as a young coach. They took a big chance, a big gamble. But again, being around those players was just an extension of what I was leaving from that 08 Stanley Cup team here in Detroit.
What was it like to be a part of that Stanley Cup team here in Detroit?
Well, it was an unreal experience. I think back to my 3 years, perhaps our best team was in year one, 05, 06. I think we won 56, 58 games, got into the playoffs, and hit a hot Edmonton team that year and had some injury issues and stuff like that, but we weren't quite ready to win it that year. The next year we went to the Final Four, lost to Anaheim, who went on to beat Ottawa and win the Cup. The third year, Kenny made some shrewd moves to add Dallas Drake, bring back Darren McCarty, just had a little more grit, a little more grind, and that allowed us probably to get through, and it was a real good run. We needed two outstanding goaltenders in Dom and Ozzie, and to leave on a high note as an assistant coach was a real good reward.
What was your best experience like when you had the cup?
Well, a lot of memories with it. Just on the ice, that first time you get to touch it and throw it over your head. I know for some of these individuals in the organization, they've done it multiple times, all the retired guys, but that first time when you get to do it is pretty special. And then sharing it with people, the ability to take it and enhance somebody's day, to liven up their mood. It's amazing what that piece of silver can do to people that haven't participated in winning it but want to be around it.
Certainly is one of the greatest trophies in all of professional sports, I believe. And now you're here with the Detroit Red Wings. And what makes a good coach, in your opinion?
Good players. It's pretty simple. I always say it's hard to win the derby. It's hard to win the derby on a donkey. You can be in the race. And
I'm not going to bet on that one.
Oh well, you can be in the race, but you probably don't have a real good chance at winning. So, good players. Obviously, the coaching staff has to be organized, and it is at a staff. It's not an individual. They have to provide direction. They have to hold players accountable. Create a belief system. That's really important, and then formulate your system and your structure based on the players that you have. But it all comes down to players. They're the ones that perform on a nightly basis and take a lot of heat for when things aren't going well and get a lot of credit for when they are, and they deserve it.
Todd, here we are a little over a month now under your coaching guidance. How far do you think the team has come from day one to now, or is it too early to answer?
Well, I've been asked that question multiple times now that I've been here for a while, and on day one it was a completely clean canvas for us. I don't know what it felt like in the locker room. I don't necessarily know the mood. Sometimes I don't even know the systems that were in play, and I think that's a good thing for me because I get to just look at the group that we have, and I do think we've come a long way. We've tried to put little pieces of our game in play on a regular basis, and the players have been receptive. They've been trying to apply it. We've had some good runs. We've had some iffy outings, but in any of those situations, the players have been, their ears have been wide open, their eyes have been wide open, and they're willing to try and adapt, and that's all we can ask for as a staff.
And finally, our last question here is, going forward, you just really want to see the team improve, right? I mean, it's not all about wins and losses. You want to win, but you want to see the team improved, right?
Well, I think if we look at it that way, we'll give ourselves a chance to win, and that's all that you can ask. I think there's too many teams or players that start with the end thing, and that's the win at the end of the night, and forget about everything that goes into it. I'd like us to look at it from a different perspective. decide how we want to play, decide the type of team we want to become, learn the lessons as we go, and then at the end of the night look up and take a peek at the scoreboard. And I think that's a better approach than starting from the back end.
Todd, it's been a pleasure having you here. I wish we could have more time with you. Maybe we'll bring you back in a later episode, but appreciate you sharing your life story with us, and all the best the rest of the way with the Red Wings.
No, thanks for having me, Ken.